Hello my friend, welcome back to Daniel DPI TV. I am Daniel, obviously, and here we're going to talk about procrastination. If you're new to this channel, well, welcome. This channel is all about practical tips to help entrepreneurs get more out of work and life. And today, since it's the beginning of the year, I wanted to talk about procrastination because we all deal with this. And I was procrastinating making this video, so I figured, why don't I kick off my series by talking about this very thing, procrastination. How do we stop avoiding what it is we need to do? And before I tell you the answer, make sure you're subscribed to this channel and don't procrastinate subscribing. Okay, had to throw that in there. The marketer never dies. How do we procrastinate, or how do we stop procrastinating? I wrote down 3 tips that I thought of off the top of the dome, just as I have reviewed in my head what's been working for me over the past few years. And it's not easy. You know, I have had the honor and the pleasure of doing a lot of different projects, from producing films to doing e-commerce businesses and online stuff, and doing info products, and you know, even in my personal life, doing tournaments and jiu-jitsu, and doing traveling, doing a lot of traveling, and doing all these different active things. All of these things which require some sort of attention and focus. And whenever there's something that you need to attend to and focus on, it's easy to procrastinate on it, isn't it? And especially when there's some sort of due date or some sort of looming deadline, it always feels like, man, you just wait until the last minute to do the thing. And you might even think, you know what, I'm better under pressure. I'm good at procrastinating and getting it done. And I was always a straight A student, you might be thinking, and I was always, I was always able to focus more intensely when the fire's on my ass. Now, I've also gone through that delusion of my own as an honor student, as an exceptional student. But at the same time, you have to realize in your professional life, that's just not how winners play. And so procrastination is the silent killer of many dreams. And procrastination, honestly, is just the pain in the ass of so many entrepreneurs. So what are my 3 tips? Okay, first tip. Now I know this might sound counterintuitive, because if you're thinking about eliminating procrastination, you're thinking, oh well, I want to move faster, I want to be more aggressive and push harder. But it's actually counterintuitive, because sometimes we're trying so hard to push to the next activity that our brain naturally resists wanting to transition, because it needs a pause, it needs a break. But maybe taking a break once in a while, rather than trying to power through, is actually going to give you more energy when you come back and more focus, so that you're not constantly resisting starting the work. You can go into it intentionally, because I think sometimes, especially if you're self-employed or you're your own boss, you feel like, after a while, it's like, you feel like, well, I have to do all this stuff because if I don't do it, no one will, and if I don't do it, the business will explode. And so you feel like you're obligated to do everything right now. But you also are setting your own pace, so you have to know when it's time to take a pause, so that, CEO Daniel I'm talking about myself, CEO Daniel can take a pause, and creative Daniel can come in, and there needs to be sometimes just a slight gap to be able to switch bandwidths, as my friend Todd Herman would say. Okay, next tip. I just looked at my notebook. Sketch out your at least your 90-day goals, and then from 90 days to a year to 3 years. Even if you're wrong, it doesn't matter if you actually achieve those goals. It's more about setting the goals so that you have a vision, something you can point towards, and then set those goals for yourself in your business, whether they're personal goals or business goals, and then look at your day-to-day and say, okay, what am I doing on a daily basis or a monthly basis that's helping me to get closer to these 90-day goals, these 1-year goals, these 3-year goals, etc. And just see how all your daily actions line up. When you see that, it'll be a little bit harder to procrastinate, because you're gonna understand that if I'm not spending time working on this piece of the project, the bigger picture won't get done. And I think that, again, is sometimes the reasons why we procrastinate, because we don't see how the work that we're doing on a daily basis contributes to our overall goals, because we haven't, 1, set those overall goals, or 2, we haven't really laid out our tasks on a day-to-day basis to fit into those goals. And if you want to learn how to do this in a more effective way, check out the Alpha Mentorship store. There's a link somewhere in the description, and I have tools to help you do that in the store. third tip for avoiding procrastination, or I shouldn't say avoiding procrastination because you don't, that's almost like procrastinating on procrastination. You want to eliminate procrastination. The third tip for eliminating procrastination is really just to change your relationship to time. I used to be of the mind of someone who was like, I don't think that I was always late, but I would say that I had a much more laissez-faire attitude towards time of like, I don't care if I'm a few minutes late, it's the same thing. Why is everyone so upset about 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there? You know, it's no big deal. And if you're, you know, in a capitalist society where you're trying to get shit done and there's things you have to do and projects you want to accomplish, you know, after a while, sometimes being late on things over time, a little bit late here and there adds up. And it adds up to a mountain of procrastination on multiple things. So what I tend to do now is and I'm 32 now. I'll be 33 this year, and I'm only now coming to become even more conscientious of this. Is just I'm early with everything. If I'm driving somewhere and I'm trying to get to a location, I leave early. If if I have a paperwork that I have to submit and it's due, you know, on the 1st, I try to submit it a week or two early. You know, all the stuff that normally I would either be okay with waiting till the deadline or getting an extension on in the past in my 20s, you know, now I'm like, no, I want to get in there early because one, being early on things prevents you from being late, which is the idea, which is procrastination. You know, procrastinating makes it so easy to be late because all you have to be is a hair off on your calculations and you're fucked. You know, if you are just looking at Google Maps and it says that it's going to take you 17 minutes to get from your house to the location, but that's the last minutes you can be there, then everything has to go right in traffic for you to get to your destination. And a lot of times it doesn't go right. So leaving early for things, submitting things early, doing things early prevents bad things from happening that are out of your control, because what is in your control is doing things early, playing it early, you know, playing it safe in that way. And the other thing is, you know, being early often opens up opportunities that people who are just on time or especially late don't get, you know. A lot of times others who are high achievers and ambitious are also there early, doing things early, working out early, working on things early, and opportunities, you know, they say the early bird gets the worm. Sometimes just being on time is enough to qualify for average, you know, but sometimes you need to be actually a little bit early, and over time you can set your mental and your internal clock to just where you make it gradually unacceptable to be late. You know, you just start to look at time differently. You start to program yourself to say, if it says 12 o'clock, I'm going to be there at 11:45, and you start to just consistently create that cadence in your mind, and over time you can train yourself to become better with time, to not be late, to not procrastinate on things that are important, to do things early, change your relationship with time, change your relationship with the meaning of when something is due, change your relationship, you know, with that idea of having to be of being early. Sometimes people think being early is a bad thing too. They're like, oh, you know, I don't want to be too early. That's embarrassing, or that's not, you know, I don't want to stand out in that way. But trust me, being early is in most cases quite warranted and will help you. So those are my 3 tips for kind of killing procrastination in your life, for making yourself much more efficient, but also giving yourself space. What are the 3 tips? Well, the first is create more space in between your daily activities so that you have time to prepare yourself for the next activity, and rather than procrastinate it, you can actually intentionally step into it. Second thing is create a long-term vision and then fit your daily actions into that long-term vision to make it very easy to understand why you're doing what you're doing and to eliminate the urge to procrastinate. And the third thing is to change your relationship with time, to enjoy the process of being early on things, submitting things early, going places early, you know, being early, showing up early, and just changing your mentality and your identity almost of, you know, I'm an early riser, I appear early, I arrive early, and that will over time eliminate the urge to procrastinate, and it will also increase your chances of being successful. So I hope you enjoyed those tips, and if you want more like this, subscribe subscribe to this channel. If you also want some practical tools to help you in your day-to-day life as an entrepreneur, check out alphamentorship.store, and all the links are in the description below. Much love. Leave comments and questions below. Look forward to hearing from you. Talk to you soon. Peace.